You are welcome to HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. In the quest to justify the government RICO charges, which until now we insist were completely alien to the case against R. Kelly, the government prosecutors did speak of how some of R. Kelly's employees allegedly invited women backstage and an exchange of phone numbers took place thereafter, and how they made sure he had his iPad and camera in the bag whenever they packed his bag. Another event they mentioned in court was that R. Kelly's staff did make flight bookings for him and some of his accusers whenever they traveled together. What is visibly correct is that in fact the government did make a correct observation reading into some of these facts. However, what they want them to prove are allegations that are not even connected to any of these events. Their attempts to use these legal activities that were not in any way connected to the RICO allegations has not only been a major fail, but also an embarrassment to the U.S. justice system, who have been caught off guard with a completely wrong interpretation of this act. First of all, it's important to note that among all these routine activities done by R. Kelly's music staff, which are completely in line with their original mandate, which was the promotion of R. Kelly's music business, none was illegal. There is nothing illegal in inviting a fan who got on stage and danced to R. Kelly's music backstage for an autograph or any further information. First of all, they didn't know the ages of these women, who certainly looked like fully grown adults at their respective ages. And we do not know of any incident where R. Kelly's employees asked these women their age in ways like, "Are you underage so we can serve you to Mr. Kelly?" Nowhere in the trial transcript, which contains a documentation of all accuser testimonies, do we find any such information. And when it comes to employees helping R. Kelly pack his bag and ensuring that he always had his devices such as an iPad is still very legal practice. Remember, this was their usual task for a high-profile celebrity like R. Kelly. It's not unusual that celebrities like him have their bags packed, but to assume that the staff should have been responsible for whatever was in his bag is just presumption without logic. This is something they definitely did for him whenever he was traveling, even without the women in the picture. They were therefore not about to stop packing his bag only because he now had girlfriends whose age they even didn't know. When it came to R. Kelly's employees booking his flights and those of any women that he traveled with, it's still wrong for the government to try associating this with their RICO enterprise theory, because there was nothing illegal in doing this for consenting adults in the District of Illinois who were clearly above the age of 17. According to attorney Jennifer Bonjean, these being consenting adults means there was in fact nothing illegal in the actions of R. Kelly's employees. The flights were always legal until it came to filming themselves with R. Kelly, as this is when it became a federal crime. And there is completely no evidence to show that R. Kelly's employees knew about the filming part. This leaves R. Kelly as a standalone case in relation to the crimes he is alleged to have committed. His employees were clearly not in the business of committing crimes with him, and therefore his music business organization cannot in any way be linked to any of the alleged criminal activity, making the government allegations of a RICO enterprise null and void. Meanwhile, it's very laughable how the state attorney started off defending the rather far-fetched government's RICO theory when it was finally her chance to speak. She was not ashamed to allege that defendant had a system in place that lured young women into his orbit and then he took over their lives. Like, seriously, why would anyone imagine this to be even anything possible? While this may sound more like a speech by a Me Too charity organization leader intended to touch people's hearts, it sounds like an attempt to mudsling R. Kelly and make him appear like a cult leader he has never been. When asked to give evidence that shows R. Kelly's employees knew these women were underage, she quickly ran into yet another mudslinging campaign, mentioning multiple bad acts that didn't even speak on whether R. Kelly's employees participated in the committing of the alleged crimes. She quickly abandoned whatever point she was trying to make and slid straight into speaking on the very same things that we suggest are not illegal at all. For God's sake, inviting a fan backstage is nothing illegal. But again, she had nothing new to speak on, so what else could she say? We do understand that the government prosecution was doing all in their ability to link R. Kelly's alleged crimes to a RICO theory, but bottom line, they needed to prove that in fact R. Kelly did operate an illegal enterprise, which they didn't. It's not about who did this and who did that, But was R. Kelly's organization actually rooted in a conspiracy to commit crime? And the answer to this remains a big no. The part where they want to use R. Kelly's flight bookings that were made by his staff to prove their rather lame RICO theory was stamped out by the fact that actually no underage woman was ever booked onto a flight, for the airlines alone would demand that they be with a guardian on board or that they be seen off by their parents. In R. Kelly's case, any woman who was booked onto a flight was an adult above the age of consent, and there is no sufficient evidence to prove that whoever booked the tickets knew what was going on. Now listen.
Again, contrary to the purpose.
Back on the issue of whether the staff knew the age, sometimes the staff booked the travel arrangements for them, and therefore they had to have identification documents. Isn't that evidence that they knew they were underage?
I think if you look closely at the record, you will see that the government was very clever, frankly, of conflating these issues where I do not believe there was any evidence that a employee booked travel for someone who was in fact under the age of consent. So you have to remember in Illinois, the age of consent is 17. It only becomes a federal crime if it's being videotaped. Now, do these people know what's happening in the bedroom? No.
According to Mindy Stein, whatever R. Kelly has gone through for the past 5 years is horrible. And to learn that he is in there because of such bogus allegations is rather disheartening. I think it's already high time he was released to resume his life like a normal man. This RICO allegation is clearly a game intended to keep him locked up for the rest of his life, yet with no backing evidence to prove that he indeed operated a criminal enterprises. All the state attorney was mentioning were multiple bad acts which, even if recited 1,000 times, will not justify the RICO charges. According to Georgia, it's so sad to learn that all along the trial judges were this corrupt. Now I see they were never following judicial guidelines when handling the case against R. Kelly. For as long as they spoke negative about him, they felt that was what was needed to justify such charges. We will be discussing the Mann Act charges in our next video release. If you wish to take part in a live interview on this channel discussing any of these topics, let us know by emailing us on sashahnnewsroom@gmail.com for scheduling. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say? To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.